Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the FantasyPros Football Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Harris, and it is a great day because with me are both Mike Tagliere and Kyle Yates. You can find us on Twitter at DanHarris80, at Mike Tagliere NFL, and at Kyle Y NFL. Gentlemen, how you doing?
I'm better than Yates. Before we started recording today, Yates apparently was being chased down by his vacuum, his robo vacuum that's going through his house and terrorizing everything.
Yates, I have a very important question for you because I know you're not really a cinephile. You don't watch that many movies
already. He'll be back in a second.
You've lost
Give
me?
him a second.
I'm here. You can't hear me? No.
He'll be
Hello.
back.
You can't hear me?
Just give it. Dan's
There
probably still
There he
talking.
is. See, I told you he'll be back in a second.
That's so weird.
There he is.
My voice thing was registering fine. Doesn't matter. Okay. Sorry. I don't know what was going on. My voice thing was registering fine. Maybe my kids unplugged my my Ethernet cord. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We're good now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pick it up right there. Okay. Here we
Go
go.
Verizon.
Yates, I have a question for you. I know you're not a cinephile. You don't watch that many movies. Have you ever seen the movie Terminator 2?
No.
Or the original Terminator?
No.
What?
Because basically your life this is how those movies start. Okay, the robots eventually take over our entire lives, and then we're just fighting back against them. So I have to ask, did you destroy your robot vacuum?
No, I didn't. No. That thing's super helpful.
It's still bouncing around the house somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't.
Somewhere I can hear it banging down the wall on the walls downstairs.
All right. So when one day we're on this pod and Yates is supposed to show up and he just doesn't, you can know that his Roomba destroyed him, and it's probably coming for all of you because Yates doesn't watch enough movies. Yates, go watch Terminator and Terminator 2.
When would you like me to do that with my free time? What free time do you think I have to do that?
Sit down with your youngster and
Yes.
show him Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He needs to know who it is.
I just watched Jurassic Park with my kids. It's way above their heads, but they were totally fine with it. Nobody cares. Now they're terrified of dinosaurs and they don't sleep. It's perfect. All right, let's get into it. It starts today. It's a great day, and if I'm telling you guys the absolute truth, I was a little disappointed. I might be a little behind the eight ball today. I'm going to need you guys to carry this show because I got a little complacent from last week where there was no Thursday game, and I could be like, cool, all right, I don't need to rush the early projections. I can kind of sit back. So like last night I was furiously like, oh no, we have a Thursday game and a Wednesday start sit. I've got to get on it. So you guys are going to carry this. I'm just going to be like, whatever. Anyway, it starts sit day. You know how we do this show. We talk about some guys who are within the top 20 who we might be fading a little bit. Some guys who are, outside the startable range that we might like a little bit more. We'll talk about some deep sleepers, and then we will very quickly break down the Thursday night game between the Eagles and the Giants. First, let me remind you about our Start Sit Assistant over at My Playbook, fantasypros.com/myplaybook. You guys, if you use our tools, you have probably already incorporated your team into My Playbook. If you haven't, you should do so now. One of the reasons that you should do so is because of the Start Sit Assistant. It gives you recommendations on who to start based on your particular league, the percentage of experts who would start any given player over another. You can set your lineups straight from My Playbook. From the Start Sit Assistant, use our multi-league mode. You can submit your lineups to your respective league hosts, even on different platforms. It is an edge you can get nowhere else. Play your best possible lineup. Win your week. Use the Start Sit Assistant over at fantasypros.com/myplaybook. All right, Start Sit. You know how we do this. We are going to start with guys who are in the top 20 in expert consensus rankings. Let's give a little caveat, guys, because we do talk about it. It's Wednesday, okay? So sometimes you're going to get a couple of wonky things, like people might not be sure that Michael Thomas is playing, for example. So he may be like, in ECR in our expert consensus rankings, he may be a little lower than he ordinarily would when rankings are finalized. So try to avoid those guys who we know, obviously, you're starting Michael Thomas, for example. But name a guy who is outside the top 20 tags who you're starting this week.
At running back?
At running back, yes.
Yes. Boston Scott is someone that I'm going to start. Miles Sanders has already been ruled out, so I'm assuming that the ranking here is correct on him, which is 22. So, it's not like people are way down on him, but I have him up at 16 right now against the Giants. I believe his skill set matches pretty well with them. They've done a good job on the ground, allowing just 3.85 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns on 146 carries. So they've been actually pretty good against the run, but it's through the air where I want to attack. They've allowed the 4th most fantasy points through the air to running backs. And if you go back towards the end of last year, Boston Scott, when he was kind of filling in. Miles Sanders was somewhat dinged up. He even missed a game or two at the end there. Boston Scott saw 6+ targets in 4 straight games to end the season. He's been fantastic. He's caught 31 of 36 targets for 252 yards over the last 2 years. So he is good in the passing game. And knowing that Zach Ertz is out, Alshon Jeffrey is not coming back for this game. Sure, they have Deshaun Jackson, who's going to stretch the field a little bit. Sure, they have Travis Fulgham, who has stepped up into a bigger role. But these pass attempts have to go somewhere. And I do believe Boston Scott, they're going to use him in somewhat of a West Coast role, where they're going to use that short passing game to move the sticks. And a guy locked in for 15 touches in a decent matchup against the Giants, I'm willing to play him as an RB2.
So a couple of points. Number one, sorry about recommending Alshon Jeffrey every week on the Waiver Wire show, guys. My bad, because he's apparently never coming back. Number two, Deshaun Jackson, I believe the word is out. He's already going to be on a snap count, so that only further bolsters Scott's outlook. Are you worried, Tags, at all about the fact that, look, that the only time fantasy managers this year were more excited about Boston Scott was week 1 against Washington, where he flopped. Now, he did get injured in that game at one point, but he also was not performing well before that. You think, though, this one's going to be different? I
just think the skill set matches up, and I think that how basically what we looked at him last year at the end of the year when they were missing so many wide receivers, because, again, Deshaun Jackson was out, Alshon Jeffrey was out, Nelson Aguilar was not playing very well, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was bad, and then so they had Goddard and Ertz, and those guys basically racked up all the targets. Both of those guys are out for this game. So do you think Richard Rodgers is going to walk into the target share that those guys were getting, which is like a 30% target share? No. Greg Ward's going to see some more targets. That's fine. But Boston Scott, I don't see how he doesn't see at least 5 targets in this game. I would say there's a ceiling of like 8 targets.
All right. How about you, Yates? How do you feel about Scott?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more hesitant on Scott, but yet that comes with a caveat. I've got him at 21 in my rankings. So I'm not all the way up there with Tags saying that he's like an locked and loaded, but yet I'm still saying start him. He's within my top 24 running backs. Again, based on what we saw at the beginning of the season with this offense, again, we have to talk about this offense looks completely different than what it did last year. So when, we're comparing year-to-year stats for Boston Scott, that, yeah, he produced last year, and I'm not going to disagree that he's looked great as far as a receiver. Those stats are ridiculous, 31 out of 36 receptions or targets. But yet, I think that we have to talk about that this offensive line is just horrific. Carson Wentz has looked horrific, and now you're wondering where are these targets going to go. So I'm a little bit more hesitant, but based on what we're seeing with the running back position right now for fantasy, I think you do have to play him.
Yeah, I'm 24th, and again, I will sing about this till the cows come home. My rankings are really not final until Saturday night, where I spend a lot of hours finalizing my projection. So I'm not saying this is exactly where I'm going to have Scott when all things end up, although this is a Thursday night game, so I'll have it a little more refined here. But right now he's 24, so he's a top, he's an RB2 at the very least for me. I do have a little hesitation, partly because of the offensive line. I realize that it sort of, goes in favor of Scott and that they do have to dump off, but man, I don't know. I don't trust anything about this Eagles offense other than I know that Carson Wentz is going to randomly throw a ball way up in the air, and somebody is going to catch it for a touchdown, and we'll have no way to predict it because that's apparently what he does. Tags, you said 16 is where you have him?
That's where I have him, yeah.
All right, let me put you to the test here. 16th in ECR is Josh Jacobs with the tough matchup. Are you starting Jacobs or are you starting Boston Scott?
I'd still start Jacobs in that spot.
How about David Johnson against Green Bay or Boston Scott?
David Johnson.
How about David Johnson or Kenyan Drake against Seattle?
I'd play Boston Scott over Kenyan Drake.
How about Boston Scott or last one, David Montgomery?
I have him over David Montgomery right now.
Okay. Yeah. How about you? Do you have Boston Scott behind those guys?
Yeah, well behind them.
Yeah. No, me too. So this is one who Tags was a little more excited about. We'll get to the game, Tags, but do you worry that Corey Clement is going to come in and get more carries in this game than he was in the first game?
He might get some, but he's not going to steal any passing down work. And I'm not even into Boston Scott so much for the work that he's getting on the ground. Sure, he's going to get some carries. I don't even care if he gets 10 carries. I want the targets because the targets is where the fantasy points are. And in this matchup, again, with New York being able to stop the run as well as they have, I anticipate Scott being used in the passing game. They're just running out of options, and they can't chuck the ball down the field every single time. And especially without those tight ends. The tight ends and running backs, the targets correlate so much between those two positions. So when you're missing those top two tight ends, they have to go somewhere in that intermediate area of the field. And again, sure, Greg Ward's going to get some of those targets. I don't think anybody's ranking Greg Ward particularly high this week. So Boston Scott is a guy that's going to walk into a lot of those. So, it is an ongoing process throughout the week, and I understand wanting to play someone like David Montgomery or Kenyan Drake over him. But in terms of Kenyan Drake's weighted opportunity is crap. we're fast forwarding here, but he's my sit of the week. He's the guy that I really don't want to play if I don't have to. David Montgomery, a better matchup, but the Bears can't run the ball. They don't want to run the ball. There's so many problems with the Bears offense. It's kind of ridiculous. David Montgomery's getting as much opportunity as someone like Josh Jacobs or Mike Davis, but he's just not producing because the Bears offense isn't moving the ball.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting. Again, all of us are recommending Boston Scott as a start because we all have him as a top 24 running back in half PPR. Not surprising, but Tag is obviously a little more bullish because I agree with Yates. I would start all those other guys that I mentioned over Scott, at least as of right now. Yates, let's get to you. Who is a guy who is outside the top 20 in ECR who you're looking to start?
Dan, if someone is at 27 in ECR and I have them at 15, would that qualify as a start?
I know who this person is.
I do too.
Because he was my start. I believe yes, that does qualify.
Yeah, let's get Justin Jackson into our starting lineups. What are we doing? Ranking him at 27 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, there are question marks about what his role is going to be in this offense. Is he going to take, is he going to step into the majority of the touches like he did in Week 5, or is Joshua Kelly going to have more of a role? I don't care. I really don't care because it's up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even if Justin Jackson doesn't take the majority of the touches, there's still enough opportunity here for him to return top 24 value. So I'm projecting that he is going to take over the majority of the touches here. I still think that Kelly can be a fine play, but start Justin Jackson.
Yeah, his expert consensus ranking is bizarrely low. I don't know if everybody's just a little, and remember, we talked about it on the waiver wire show. I'm like not the Justin Jackson cheerleader whatsoever. I'm sort of the one who's a little more hesitant about it. I'm not willing to draw that many conclusions based on the one game that we saw. And Joshua Kelly, of course he did fumble the 2 previous games. He didn't have a good game this past one against the Saints. But still, I mean, that's crazy. It's funny, guys. So we have a who should I start tool where you can put in a couple of players and you can decide who you're going to start. One of the most searched for ones is Boston Scott or Justin Jackson. So I know you, Yates, because you said you have him at 15, and I believe you said Boston Scott at 21, so you would start Jackson. Tags, how about you?
I have Boston Scott just a couple spots higher. I actually had a backup. So basically, if Yates were to answer first and he were to take Boston Scott, I would have said Justin Jackson. Yates is correct. So against the Jaguars, they've faced a ridiculous 31.8 running back touches per game. That's the highest number in the league. You even going back to that Saints game before their bye week, that was a neutral game script throughout. There was no team leading throughout. It was a 3-point game at the end of it, so it was very closely contested. Jackson played 42 snaps. Kelly played 25. I haven't seen anything with Kelly to suggest that he should have a bigger role. In fact, he's averaged 2.8 yards per carry or less in 3 of the last 4 games. Offers almost no upside in the passing game. I am with you guys on Justin Jackson. I actually have him as my number 19 running back, so I am starting him as well. And he's one of those guys where I was contemplating back and forth where it's like, okay, would you play David Montgomery or Justin Jackson? I think that they're both going to have opportunity. I just think that Jackson's ceiling is higher just because you look at the matchup against Jacksonville, the efficiency's been there too. They've allowed 0.93 PPR points per opportunity. That is the 9th highest mark in football. So I do like Justin Jackson quite a bit.
So I'm 20th as well. I am the quote-unquote low guy on him, but we're all way ahead of where the expert consensus ranking is. Out of curiosity, Yates, where do you have Kelly ranked this week in your ranking?
I have Kelly at 29.
That's where I am as well. So you, like me,
28
tagged 28. Okay, so we all view this situation pretty much the same. It's really just kind of the difference between how high. And again, Yates, you said 15 for Jackson?
Yep.
Right. And I'm 20 and Tags 19, right? So that's not a huge difference for any of us in terms of how we're looking at it. So I agree. And again, I'm not the guy who's running out there to he wasn't. Boston Scott was my number 1 pickup for the week, generally speaking. But I do like when I started running my projections, Jackson did come out ahead for this week, given the matchup. For me, look, you guys, certainly Jackson was the guy I want to talk about. There is another guy, and I mentioned him another time where we knew that the starting running back was out, and he wasn't the best running back to start on his own team, as Tags and I disagreed about, even though he did get the majority of the carries at least to start. That's Jerick McKinnon. He is 25th in ECR. I have him 18th. So I understand that at the end of this past game, after Mostert went out, that JaMychal Hasty looked great. Okay, he really did. And there's all this talk about, how explosive he was and stuff like that. Guys, I mean, we know with a game plan around it, we saw what happened the last time that Raheem Mostert was out. Tevin Coleman is not going to be back in this game. I don't know about Jeff Wilson. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he won't. But against the Giants, 17 touches, 77 yards and a touchdown. Against the Eagles, 21 touches, 97 yards and a touchdown. And I get he did not look good against the Rams, but he showed enough that if he's healthy, he's going to lead the way. And 15 to 20 touches easily. And for me, that's an RB2 who I'm starting pretty confidently. Where do you have McKinnon ranked this week, Tags?
I am so torn on that one. Like that, I literally went through that game already earlier today, and I am so torn on who to go with here because it was like Shanahan talked about, Hasty had fresh legs, and it was like grinding out that game at the end because I don't think he had a carry until the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what to take away from this. It's Shanahan, and he's known to kind of screw with people in fantasy football. So I don't know if this is a 1 week thing. I actually grabbed Hasty in quite a few leagues just that I was like really desperate for a running back, just hoping you hit lightning in a bottle because they've said they're going to put Raheem Mostert on IR. So, if the chance that he does develop into the guy that, walks in there and gets 15 touches, it's a running back that you can start the next couple weeks. But I just don't know how good you could feel about him against New England. I mean, New England, their secondary has actually been a lot worse than people think. They're one of 5 teams that's allowed more than 8 yards per pass attempt. But on the ground, their front 7 has actually done a pretty good job. Jerick McKinnon is the safer play, and I was really hoping to talk to you about Jerick McKinnon because I don't know how to rank him this week. Right now, I have McKinnon at 27 and I have Hasty at 34. I don't feel great about it though. I don't know how to feel about it.
How about you, Yates? Be the tiebreaker here.
Yeah,
how do you feel about McKinnon?
I've got McKinnon at 25, right in line with ECR. I think that he is the back to roster and play in this game. However, I do think that you're going to see somewhat of a committee, that you're going to see Jeff Wilson active and that he's going to get touches.
Was Wilson going to play with that calf injury? That's the one thing I was looking into as well because there's really not a whole lot of information. That's why he was inactive with a calf injury last week.
So I didn't know that he was inactive with a calf injury. I thought he was just a healthy scratch. So that would make a potential difference, but I haven't heard anything to indicate that he's not going to be active for this game. That, of course, will adjust. That's why we're talking about this on Wednesday and stay, fluid throughout the week. So I think with that in mind, then, McKinnon at 25 for me. I have Wilson. I am ranking him, right now, but he's not someone that you're looking at. And then I have DeMichael Hasty way down there. I think that Hasty saw the work because Jeff Wilson was inactive. So right now, it's just a confusing backfield to try and predict. I'm kind of with Tags where it's like, I just don't know what to do. But I do think that Jerick McKinnon is the back to roster and play. I just don't know if he has the ceiling for me to rank him all the way up at 18 like you have.
Hey, and real quick, Dan, I want to know, since you're high on McKinnon, would you start him? I'm going to give you a few names. Would you start him over Devonta Freeman?
Let me pull up my running back rankings right now. Would I start him over Devonta Freeman? Yes, I would.
What about someone like James White or Devin Singletary?
James White, yes. Devin Singletary. So this is what I'm going to say. Right now, based on my projections, I have them relatively close. But right now, I do have McKinnon ahead. Now, I will say this. McKinnon is 18th for me at the moment. Am I going to be surprised if in the end he finishes more like 20th or 21st as I get more information? This is a guy who can certainly move.
Right.
No, I'm not going to be surprised by that whatsoever. But I am almost certainly going to be higher on him than expert consensus because you guys are giving all correct takes. It's not a good matchup either, but I do feel like if there is going to be a lead running back in San Francisco, regardless of the matchup, I just feel like Shanahan is creative enough. And I may be wrong on this, but I do feel like we're going to look back on this Hasty thing and we're going to be like, I can't believe we were so excited about JaMychal Hasty just because he had a great end of, the game. And McKinnon, we've seen McKinnon, what he does when he's given the lead role. And I think he's probably going to be here in the 15 to 20 touch range. And I will take the running back on San Francisco, regardless of the matchup, who's going to get that amount of work. So for right now, Tags, I do have him ahead of that. But let me, again, I mentioned the who should I start tool. So let me put it to you guys because I'm obviously higher on him. Would you start Jerick McKinnon, Tags, or DeAndre Swift?
I have Swift higher. I'm not in love with Swift this week, though. I think a lot of people are really high on him. I'm not particularly high on him. Yates, how do you feel about Swift? I mean, he totaled less than 50% of the total touches in that backfield. There was a lot of touches to go around, and Atlanta's actually been really good against the run.
We'll talk about him in a bit.
Okay.
Nice.
Teaser alert. Okay, how about this? Yates, would you start Jerick McKinnon or Antonio Gibson?
I will start Antonio Gibson, but that's not by much. I have Gibson at 22 and I have McKinnon at 25.
How about you, Tags?
I have Gibson higher. I have Gibson at 18.
Okay. All right. So, but that's around the range where I have him. But yeah, this one, look, this was the same thing that Tags and I sort of talked about last time. It turns out that Tags was right. Wilson had the better game than McKinnon. So we'll see. But again, as we do every week, not only do we do, Yates and I go through the games on Friday when we have Dan and Kyle in the morning. We all do a start sit on Sunday morning. I do mine on Instagram Live from 10 to 11. You guys do the start sit shows on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/FantasyPros, 11 to 12 for tags, 12 to 1 for Yates. So we will talk about this all more, and we post our rankings to our Twitter profile. You can just look at them, and anytime we update them, they're automatically changed. So if I change my opinion, I will let you guys know, but they will be there. Let's go to wide receivers. Let's start with you, Yates, because we start with tags in the last one. So give me a wide receiver, let's say someone ranked outside the top 30.
Why is Keelan Cole at 45?
You love Keelan Cole.
I love Keelan Cole. Why?
With Jonnu Smith quasi-injured, you need somebody,
I need someone, right? Yeah, no, like with Keelan Cole, I mean, I've got Cole up at 29 this week, and he's 45 in ECR right now. So, yeah, I'm going with Keelan Cole here because, again, he has continued to he's done nothing but produce. He has the same number of targets on the season as Tyreek Hill and Tyler Lockett. He's producing. He's been a consistent option for your fantasy lineups, and he's the wide receiver 21 on the season. Why are we continuing to rank him so low? Again, I've got him at 28, and he's 45 in ECR.
So he was on my list as well for somebody who I think is too low in ECR, but I have him 38, so I have him sort of more closer to a borderline wide receiver 3. Tags, why don't you go ahead and make the case, then I can chime in.
You guys are gonna hate me.
Oh, no.
I don't like him this week. I have him at 47. And I actually agree with you for the most part, Yates, is that he's undervalued. I had Cole, I think, like 15 spots higher than ECR last week. Loved his matchup against Detroit. I don't like his matchup this week against Desmond King. Desmond King's playing the slot. Ever since Chris Harris went on IR, they brought down Desmond King from playing safety down to slot cornerback, which he's really, really good at. He has allowed a 77% catch rate, but those receptions have only gone for 9.2 yards. He's allowed a touchdown every 30.1 targets ever since he joined the Chargers. So he's basically allowing receptions, like shorter receptions, but he's not allowing the play to get over the top of him, which Keelan Cole, he's basically been a guy that's lacked a ceiling, right? Until last week, where Keelan Cole was a guy that was continually getting that like 40 to 70 yards. It was a Cole Beasley type performance. They're not the same type of players, but this offense has so many damn options in it. It's really difficult for you to trust one every single week. You know, DJ Chark lines up at left wide receiver the most of the time. Casey Hayward is on the other side of the field. Do they bring Hayward over? Because if not, it should be a field day for DJ Chark. If they shadow, then that means that Laviska Shenault is going to have a plus matchup. Keelan Cole's doesn't change no matter what. So I'm a little worried about his just based on the matchup there. I do agree that he's undervalued, and I might be a little bit too low on him. It's just there's some guys that I'm willing to play over him that I believe have a higher ceiling, and that's kind of what I'm choosing to go with over the floor that he does present.
So Yates. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So you said that like the Jaguars have so many options on this offense. I mean, do they really? Like you're looking at Tyler Eifert, has a neck injury. He might not play this game, but he wasn't soaking up targets. You have James O'Shaughnessy stepping in. He's not going to see targets. James Robinson, 4 or 5 targets out of the backfield game. He's fine. But then DJ Chark saw 14 targets last week. Keelan Cole still had a great game. Laviska Shenault saw 7 or 8 targets off the top of my head. Keelan Cole still had a great game. So, yes, the matchup. I will completely agree with you. The matchup is not great. But if they were going up against a better matchup, I'd probably have Keelan Cole ranked higher. So I think looking at, especially when you take into account that the Jaguars are throwing the ball an average of 44 times per game in the games that they are losing, then like there's more than enough opportunity for all 3 wide receivers to see 8+ targets. And if that's the case, then he belongs in the wide receiver 3 with upside conversation.
Tags, real quick, can you say the name of the team that Keelan Cole plays for?
The Jaguars?
Yeah. Yates, can you say it?
Jaguars.
Yeah, it sounds to me when Yates say it that it's like Jaguars. And I feel like half the people that I listen to say it like that. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Sorry, listeners, for a little detour. That's what I say.
It's like,
that's
what
what
am
I was
doing,
focused
Brad?
on.
What are you...
No. I think you're fine.
This is what keeps Dan entertained. Well,
this is how I go.
He's
when
not
we have
listening to me. He didn't listen to anything I said after I said Jaguars. Now he was all...
When we have a discussion about a 5-minute discussion about Keelan Cole, yeah, I'm tuning out and I'm listening for how Yates says Jaguars. And I'm wondering whether or not his Roomba is secretly stalking him in the other room. Tags, go ahead with your guy who you are looking to start outside your top 30.
I'm going to say Brandin Cooks is someone, I don't know why he's still outside that range, but he is. In the 2 weeks removed of Bill O'Brien, he's seen 21 targets, caught 17 of them for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's been the number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football over the last 2 weeks. You have J.R. Alexander for the Packers, looking to probably shadow Will Fuller. I don't think that's really in question. So that's going to leave Cooks matched up with either Kevin King or Josh Jackson, a duo that has been underwhelming for the majority of their careers, if we're being honest. We've heard whispers that the Texans are they're going to be shopping the wide receivers, so they're looking to showcase Cooks and that he still can play. This guy's been passed around from team to team, but he's produced. So I think Cooks is a guy that absolutely should be in that low-end wide receiver 3 conversation as someone that I'm going to lean to start him over someone that I'm really worried about, which I'm sure we'll talk about some of those players that I'm worried about when we get to the start. We're in the sit portion.
So let me name a couple of guys in the Who Should I Start tool. Again, these are players, these are, the most commonly, compared players. People are asking who should I start. Brandin Cooks tags this week or Deebo Samuel?
I have Cooks slightly higher.
Okay, how about you, Yates?
Yeah, that's Cooks by a mile.
Okay, how about Brandin Cooks or T. Higgins?
Ooh, I have T. Higgins 2 spots higher.
How about you, Yates?
I have T. Higgins 3 spots lower.
Last one with the Thursday night game, Brandin Cooks or Travis Fulgham?
They're right next to each other in my rankings.
Yes. See, that's why I love it. Our users are so smart. They're putting in the right thing. How about you, Yates?
Cooks.
Are you close there?
Cooks. I've got Cooks at 24, guys, and I've got Fulgham at 34.
Okay. All right, so that's about the right range. And Tags, what's the actual number that you have Cooks at?
31.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wide receivers, I didn't differ on a whole lot of the ones in the top.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. I'm the same way. Yates, let me ask you very quickly, going back to the person who plays on the Jaguars, Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole. One of the most popular questions in our start state is Keelan Cole or Christian Kirk. Who are you starting between those two?
Yeah, it's Cole for me. I've got Kirk down at 46 this week. That's too low. I'll move him up, but right now I've got Cole at 29, 28, and then Kirk all the way down at 46.
Yeah.
How about you, Tags? With
Kirk
those
was
two?
my other one that I was going to mention.
Kirk was that. The reason I'm bringing it up is because he is my guy who is too low this week. Where do you have him, Tags? He's 40th in ECR.
I'm at 34.
Yeah, I'm at 35 as well. Again, it's mostly the matchups. He did play a ton of snaps. He only got the 3 targets last week, even though he turned them into 2, touchdowns. One, the really long one. But the biggest thing is that it's the matchup. The Seahawks allow the most fantasy points to the position. Neither Quentin Dunbar nor Shaq Griffin are really imposing. And again, I do think that this is one where I believe he led the Cardinals in snaps. So I do think that if he's going to get more involved, he's going to be in that wide receiver 3 range as opposed to just outside of it. So I do have him over Westbrook, though I agree. Not over Westbrook. I'm sorry, over Cole. But I do agree that Cole is undervalued in ECR personally. So Tags is very clearly wrong on that one. Let's go to quarterbacks. I struggled here a little bit, guys. I didn't have too many guys who are outside the top 12 who I was jonesing to start. I don't know about you guys. Let's start with you, Tags. Anybody you're looking at here?
I went to Ryan Tannehill. And again, it's kind of cheating because he's just outside that territory. But I mean, there's a few things I'm worried about. One is that he just lost his starting left tackle, Taylor Lewan. He's out for the season, tore his ACL last week, so that's worrisome. The Steelers bring a ton of pressure, like legit. Yeah. No team in the league brings as much pressure as they do. They blitz all the time. But fortunately, Tannehill has remained calm under pressure. He leads the NFL with a 110.5 quarterback rating under pressure, which is just that's better than most quarterbacks perform in a clean pocket. So Ryan Tannehill's been fantastic. He does get Corey Davis back this week, which I know Corey Davis has never lived up to the expectations that we all placed on him, but he is an above-average wide receiver, and then when you pair him with A.J. Brown, Adam Humphries is back on the field. We hope to have Jonnu Smith out there. We don't know if he's going to play or not as of right now, but Anthony Ferguson at least stepped up. The Steelers' secondary has proven not to be a team that you necessarily need to run away from this year. With running backs, you do, and that's part of the reason I like Tannehill a little bit more in his fantasy floor. He scored at least 17.9 fantasy points in 13 of his 15 starts with the Titans, and Derrick Henry is going to struggle. I mean, every single running back we see go against the Steelers, they struggle. And if Derrick Henry does anything, it's going to be because he broke a long run, which is certainly possible, but over and over, he's going to run into a brick wall.
All right, so 2 things. Number 1, make sure you take away that Tags is telling you to sit Derrick Henry.
No.
No matter what. Don't just bench him. Number 2, Tags, I understand slightly the concern, but honestly, Jonnu Smith just isn't that good, so it doesn't matter if he plays. I just wanted to get Yates worked up.
I want to see Yates' reaction on.
I can't. I need to see what the YouTube is because there better be.
I wasn't listening. There's something going on with Michael Thomas that just broke.
What's the deal? Go ahead, break the news.
Nick Underhill on Twitter. Michael Thomas was present when practice opened. He was on the field in uniform as the doors opened. He then left and did not return during the open portion of practice. He was wearing a pair of cleats and carrying another pair in his hands when he walked out with a trainer. Not too significant, but yep, what the heck is going on?
All right. You will probably know more about that. Time for my preseason prediction of Emmanuel Sanders as a wide receiver 1 to come true. We'll obviously deal with that on Friday when we know a little more. Yeah. But yeah, there have been a few.
All right, what did you say about Jonnu Smith?
Nothing. He doesn't play for the Jaguars, so we're fine. Let me ask you a couple of questions. We joke about the Titans all the time, especially Tannehill, about how I don't really care about the matchup. He breaks all efficiency models. But let me go again to the who should I start tool, because there are a couple of close ones here. Would you start Ryan Tannehill or Gardner Minshew?
Tannehill.
Would you start Ryan Tannehill or Aaron Rodgers?
Rodgers.
Ryan Tannehill or Derek Carr?
Is that a serious question?
That's one of the. Who should I start? Go ahead. Derek Carr's tearing it up. My son loves him.
Stop it.
All right. Sorry. I'm just asking. Fine. I'll give you a closer one. You ready?
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill or Justin Herbert?
Herbert, I actually have 2 spots higher.
Can we talk about the fact that the three of us were like, all right, I think I'm too high on Justin Herbert this morning, and you were like, no, I'm too high on Justin Herbert. No, I'm too high. That's just where life is. Last one, tags. Ryan Tannehill or Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan.
Okay. All right, Yates, how about you, quarterback?
Yeah, there really wasn't anyone that jumped off the page, but Ryan Tannehill was the one that I was going to mention too. So I'm right there with tags, and I agree with everyone that tags said as far as sitting, in favor of Ryan Tannehill, and then starting Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers over Tannehill there.
Well, then let me ask a couple of different names who are also, because there have been 15.
Hey, Joe Flacco or Ryan Tannehill.
Okay, all right, no need. There have been 15 different player-by-player comparisons of who should I start this week with Ryan Tannehill. I think fantasy managers are really like, oh man, this is a terrible matchup. There may be no Jonnu Smith, who is the key to everything. There you go. Yeah, it's put you in a good mood. Ben Roethlisberger or Ryan Tannehill this week?
I'll go Roethlisberger.
Drew Brees or Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Matthew Stafford or Tannehill?
I'll go Tannehill there.
Stafford, come on.
Ooh, all right.
Stafford's a top 5 play for me.
He was last week for me.
Dude, I know, but you can run the ball all over Jacksonville.
I know.
So they just chose to do that. So Atlanta, you don't do that against. Start Stafford.
Okay. I mean, he's 9th for me, but I'm not I'm not. Is he 5th for you, Tags?
I am 5th.
You're starting him over Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Oof. Yates, you're not, are you?
No, I've got Rodgers at 6. I've got Stafford at 12, and Tannehill at 11.
Okay. Wow. There are just a lot of names.
You're going to come up on Stafford by the end of the week.
That may be true. But 5 tags. Woo. I love it. Oof. All right. Let me ask the last one here, Yates. Starter. Tannehill or Tom Brady?
Tannehill.
How about you, Tags?
I have Tannehill 1 spot higher.
Yeah, I have Brady 1 spot higher, and he's my only guy. I think he's 13th. And, I mean, this is how bad it was. ECR right now is pretty on the ball for me with quarterback. And I think you guys pretty much agree. He's 13th. I have him 11th. Just all his weapons should essentially be back and healthy. The Raiders are probably going to be able to put up points, even though the Tampa Bay defense is good. They allow 30 points per game. They allow the most points to running backs. It is true, but they can be exploited through the air. So I just, I'll take Brady as a top 12 quarterback, slightly over Tannehill. Tight end. There are a couple of interesting names here for tight end who are outside the top 12 in ECR. Let's start with you, Yates. Who's a guy who you like?
Tight end outside the top 12?
Yes, sir.
Had a name. I'm pulling it up. Austin Hooper.
Yep.
Austin Hooper has continued
to
grow in this offense and has seen significant targets each of the past 2 weeks, and now we're looking at this matchup against Cincinnati. Why are we not talking about Austin Hooper as a top 10 tight end? He's at 14 in ECR right now.
Yeah. Where do you have him, Yates?
You keep asking me questions that I'm not ready for.
Well, you see, here's the thing, Yates. When I ask you about guys who you like...
I'm just going to keep talking over you. Austin Hooper at 7.
man. I do have the power to end this entire podcast right now. Okay, you have him at 7. Tags. Gut, he was your guy. He was also my guy, but where do you have him, Tags?
I have him at 9. I'm not as high, but I have him at 9, so I like Hooper this week too. And by the way, his target share has been at least 17% in each of the last 5 games. It's been at least 21% in each of the last 3 games. So his target share continues to go up. And the Bengals have seen 56 targets through 6 games. That is a league high.
Yeah, he is 8th for me. So I believe it's 7 to 8, 9. And I have a feeling that by the time Sunday rolls around, Austin Hooper's expert consensus ranking is going to be in the top 12.
Yeah,
because it's really difficult to sort of not do it. I will throw a couple of names out there that are in the start sit, as I like
Thomas.
to. I think he missed practice today, Yates, so I'm concerned. All right,
that's Dan's exit ramp for Logan Thomas.
This is the worst. This is my nightmare. All right, Yates, Austin Hooper or Rob Gronkowski?
I'm gonna go Gronk there. I've got Gronk at 6.
Oh, Tags, how about you?
I have Gronk at 8, so I have 1 spot higher. Yep.
Okay, and this is where I like to do the thing where I chastise Yates for not having his ranking up. I do have Hooper ahead. I have Gronk at 11, so I do have Hooper ahead right now. Yates, Hooper or Jared Cook?
Hooper.
Tags.
Hooper for sure.
Oh, for sure. There's a big difference. Where do you have Cook?
I have Cook at 18. Now, if we hear something with Michael Thomas that he's not going to play, but all of a sudden the targets are evaporating. You're not taking targets away from Alvin Kamara.
Correct.
Emmanuel Sanders has out-targeted Jared Cook. I mean, Cook's he had 3 targets, I think, the last game. Michael Thomas coming back. It's like, where are these targets coming from? And you run the ball against Carolina.
I mean, so here's the thing. In my projections, I have Jared Cook with 3 targets, 2 receptions, 32 yards, a touchdown. And that's what boosts him up, too.
All right. Where do you have him ranked this
I have
week,
him at
Gabe?
13.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got him 10th.
Boo
so we'll
this
talk
man.
about that when it gets there. Boo that man. Okay. My only other guy I had on my list, and again, my guess is, and I would like to ask you guys, assuming we know Noah Fant is playing, where do you think you'll have him ranked this week against Kansas City? Tags? Or are you already
I do have him ranked at 10.
You have him ranked at 10.
Yep.
Okay. How about you, Yates?
Yep, I'm moving forward as if he is playing. I have him at 9.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm at 10 and he is 16.
Can we talk real quick about Evan Engram and why his ECR is 7?
We'll talk about him in a little bit.
Oh, okay. You guys are just taking over my role as host, and you're doing a better job at it.
The weird part is that he has a great matchup.
Yes.
Like, you cannot ask for a better matchup than the Eagles against tight ends right now. Well, I guess you can. Jacksonville's pretty bad, but I just don't. People are putting him is a locked in. Like you start him over a lot of guys.
All right, very quickly then. Let's just. All right, very quickly. Where do you guys have Evan Engram ranked? Just give me a number.
11,
17.
Yates, 15. So he is 7th in ECR. I agree. I don't know how. This may be a game for Engram. I don't understand how you can say he's the 7th ranked tight end.
Yeah,
I don't understand how you're like, this is a guy who I am throwing out there. We have seen him in good matchups. We have seen every possible time that he could show you that he is worthy of being a locked-in fantasy starter, and he has never come through. So I don't understand his ECR. He was my big sit for guys inside the top 12, but we will get there. Let's get to running back, though. Let's start there. I started with Tags on the running back last time, so let's start with you, Yates. Give me a guy within the top 20 that you're fading a little bit this week.
I said that we were talking about him. We've gone too far with DeAndre Swift. Did he change teams? Is he playing for a new coach? Is Adrian Peterson not on this team? He's at 18 right now in ECR. I understand the matchup, and I understand that he can absolutely get there if he finds the end zone, but to rank him at 18... very, very aggressive. I'm not there yet. I think that he will absolutely continue to grow his role in this offense. But yet we're talking about last week where, Tags has talked about it, the opportunity that these running backs had last week with the carries were just ridiculously high comparative to what they've been for this Lions team. So he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to find the end zone and be heavily involved in the receiving game to reach running back 18 on the week. I'm just not there.
How about you, Tags?
Yep. I'm with Yates on this one. Swift, 17 touches last week. That's awesome. Great. Yes. The Lions running backs touched the ball 38 times in that game. That is not going to happen very often. I don't see it happening against the Falcons. Teams have run the ball just 36% of the time against the Falcons. That's one of the lowest marks in the league. So Swift 44.7% of the touches. If they get, it's considered a lot for running backs to total 30 touches in a game on a team of running backs. Mm-hmm. If they get 30 touches, he's looking at what, 14? Mm-hmm. That's not like guaranteed locked in RB2 numbers, especially on this team. So I'm with Yates in this one. You're probably starting Swift where you are, but I have him 22nd, so I'm 3 spots lower than ECR on him.
Yeah, I'm 23rd. So I'm right there. How about you, Yates? What's your actual number?
I've got him at 26. And I mean, so here's the thing with Swift. Like, you look at the Lions offense, the total team rush attempts throughout the first 6 weeks of the season. 29 in week 1, 21 in week 2, 27 in week 3, 22 in week 4, their bye week, obviously, and then 39. Like, so they just, the number just skyrocketed. The highest before last week was 29 total touches for these running backs. So I just don't see how we can confidently say, yeah, DeAndre Swift's getting, he's now out touching AP and he's going to get the majority of the work, and the Lions are going to suddenly be running the ball 35 times per game. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, you know what this ECR tells me, guys? Sell high on DeAndre
Completely.
Swift now, right? Do it right now. By the way, I just saw a tweet that said that apparently the Raiders sent home every one of their offensive linemen for COVID-19 protocol or something like that, right? We'll deal with that. If that
Start
happens,
Bucs defense.
Yeah. If that happens, it's gonna be interesting for fantasy tags. Is there another guy that you had, or was Swift your guy?
Oh no, Kenyan Drake is the guy that I was going to mention to be weary of this week. I don't. It's bad. Of the fantasy points the Seahawks have allowed to skill position players, a league low 23.9% of them has gone to running backs. And on top of that, Kenyan Drake's not involved in the passing game. He saw 2 targets. He dropped the 1 last week, so it's not going to be a reason to give him more moving forward. This game seems like it could have a negative game script, and if it goes south, Kenyan Drake's in real issues. Has a real issue because teams against the Seahawks have called a run play on just 34% of the time, which ranks as the second lowest number in the league. So again, if his role as a runner on first and second down is neutralized into 13 to 15 carries in this game, unless he scores, he's going to bust.
So where do you have him, Tags?
I have him right there next to DeAndre Swift at 21 and 22. I mean, so again, it's hard to bench a running back that's guaranteed basically 15 touches or whatever it is, but they're not going to be very efficient touches against Seattle. They've been actually a good team against the run.
Yeah, I just, this is the classic, what we love to talk about, which is, oh, God, I really don't like this guy this week. It's just not going to work out. Where do you have him ranked? At about 20th. Because
running backs are ugly.
All right, Tags, let's go to who should I start, Tool, Antonio Gibson or Kenyan Drake?
Gibson.
Darrell Henderson or Kenyan Drake?
I'll go Drake there. Henderson is his role is limited too, and they're playing the Bears.
How about CeeDee Lamb or Kenyan Drake in a little flex conversation?
Is this a PPR?
Let's go half PPR.
Half PPR.
Just to make it tough.
Against Washington, I might take the upside with Lamb. I know you're sacrificing a little bit of floor, but I might take the upside.
All right. I like it. I mean, I don't think you're crazy. Are you also fading him a little bit, Yates, compared to ECR, Drake?
I've got him at 20. So, I mean, what's his ECR? He's at 17 right now. So, I mean, I'm still willing to start him. I'm still willing to roll him out, but not as excited as ECR.
Yeah, I'm 19th, so fading a little bit. But, not crazy. Swift was really the guy on my list, so let's go to wide receiver here, Tags. You can start us off. Who's a wide receiver you're fading within the top 30?
I mean, there's 2 guys that are actually from the same game that I would mention are both Allen Robinson and Robert Woods. I think both of them have terrible matchups. The Bears have obviously been the best team in the league against wide receivers. Like, even targets don't even matter that much. Robert Woods hasn't even been guaranteed a whole lot of targets in his games. Like, it's been six targets more often than not, and 6 targets against the Bears is not going to cut it to get into wide receiver 2 territory like analysts have him ranked right now. Allen Robinson I'm worried about too. I mean, I have him at 17, so it's not like I'm benching Allen Robinson, but the ECR on him is 10. I mean, Robinson played against Jalen Ramsey last year. Do you know what he had in that game? He had 6 targets. He caught 4 of them for 15 yards. Nick Foles has been crap. Like, honestly, I have no idea how the Bears are 5-1. When I started going through and looking at the stats for this game, Nick Foles has averaged 5.8 yards per attempt this year. I know he's a better leader and a better vocal guy than Mitch Trubisky was, but he's not playing quarterback better. I don't know how the Bears are 5-1. This is all coming back to that. And Allen Robinson, while he does lead the NFL in targets, I'm just worried about the quality of those targets, especially in the matchup against Jalen Ramsey. I am worried about him this week. I'm just saying to temper expectations on Allen Robinson. And if you're playing in like DFS or something like that, it's a week where I'm not really looking forward to playing him.
I wish our listeners could be like in our private Slack channel during a Bears game, because it's much like Yates is much more just optimistic and kind of enjoying the ride, probably because he has his whole life ahead of him and hasn't been beaten down like Tags might have. And Tags, it's just constantly like,
if you watch the Bears, you really have no idea how they're 5-1 because they don't do anything right on offense. There's nothing that they do well on offense, but their defense is just so damn good.
All right, Tags, let me put you to test here. As always, who should I start? Tool, Allen Robinson or Terry McLaurin?
Terry McLaurin, I have him top 10.
Allen Robinson or Tyler Lockett?
I'd play Lockett.
Allen Robinson or Robbie Anderson?
Ooh, you got me there. Robinson.
Good. I didn't do it. Our brilliant users got you. All right, Yates, give me somebody within the top 30 who you're fading.
Mike Evans. We have to talk about Mike Evans and his outlook now with Chris Godwin on the field, with Rob Gronkowski on the field. Mike Evans currently is at 14 in ECR. That's way too high for me. I have Mike Evans down at... Where'd he go?
Can't even find him.
Okay, this is too low. I need to go.
I've
got him at 32
He's
right
already
now. So
already qualified.
I've got him at 32 right now.
Right.
I need to move him up slightly, but I mean, he's a touchdown dependent wide receiver 2 right now. In the games that Chris Godwin has been on the field, Mike Evans has been non-existent. He's scored based on his like goal line, fades and stuff like that, his 2-yard touchdowns that have. But I don't want to bet on that. I don't, especially all the way up at 14.
32.
Again,
Ooh,
that's too low.
All right.
I will move him up, but yeah,
yeah, that's too low.
But again,
which he prefaced it. That is fair. First of all, if you did not watch our Tuesday podcast on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/FantasyPros, please do, and look for the timestamp where we discuss Mike Evans, where Nathan Yankee talks about him as a buy low, and try to get a screenshot of Yates's face because he is not too happy when we talk about Kenny Golladay versus Mike Evans. Tags. Do you have Mike Evans basically outside of the range of a startable wide receiver?
No, I don't. I have him a little bit lower. I have him at 16. Okay. But I mean, if you look at it's so weird. When I went and did like my research for that game, Mike Evans is seeing a deep target on 22% of his targets, which is the exact number that he got last year with Jameis Winston. But somehow he's averaged 17 yards per reception over the last 2 years. This year, 12.2 yards per reception. Yeah, I don't know, because the Raiders have allowed a robust 14.5 yards per reception to wide receivers. That's the 4th highest mark in the league. So it should play into Evans's role in terms of like him being the downfield threat, or Scotty Miller, whatever. But Scotty Miller is kind of an afterthought at this point. I'm not going to bring Evans down that low.
Yeah, so I'm fading him a bit compared to ECR2. I have him 19th. But don't you think, Yates, that some of this is the fact that he looks like an old man limping around out there? He's had now, right? He gets extra time, sort of the. Wait, did he have extra? No, that was last week. My bad. But he had been, limping around. But as he gets healthier in a decent matchup, don't you expect him necessarily to perform?
Well, here's the thing: is that I expect Tampa Bay to run the ball all over Las Vegas. Which is why I have Tom Brady a little bit lower than ECR too. It's like I just don't see the ceiling here. And so if you're looking at the target share, you're projecting a lower overall passing volume for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And then you say, looking at the target share where it is Gronk and it's Godwin as the main options that Brady is looking to, and then Evans is the afterthought, then in a low passing volume attack, then there's really not much opportunity there for Evans. He's going to have to score.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think it's fine. And again, I am fading him based on ECR. And even you admit that 32nd is essentially completely insane. So you will change that. But we're all fading him a bit on ECR. So I don't think it's certainly the worst call. For me, the only guy who really kind of stood out right off the top, and again, this is not a crazy fade, but it is CeeDee Lamb. It's just hard for me to feel comfortable really with any Dallas pass catcher right now, in part because Andy Dalton just looked terrible. But a big thing is just their offensive line and how banged up it is and how bad it is. And I'm worried that Washington's just going to get there consistently and force Dalton into bad decisions. And I don't think they'll put up a ton of points necessarily with Washington, despite how bad the Dallas defense is. So I don't think this is the game like they're going to have to do last time where he threw more than 50 times. So fading him a little bit. Not crazy. I have him 29, so he's still even within my top 30, but he's 24th in ECR. So that's somebody I'm fading a little bit. Where do you guys have Lamb ranked this week? Yates.
I'm still fine with him. I've got him at 21. And I think because what you said with the offensive line, with that pressure, again, we cannot deny that Dalton just looked atrocious on Monday Night Football. But yet, I think if that is the case, that you're expecting pressure to be there consistently, then Dalton's going to have to get the ball out quick, which lends to the short area receiver, which is CeeDee Lamb in this offense. So I think Lamb should be fine. Again, I'm not as excited as I was when Dak Prescott was playing, but yet at the same time, there's simply too much opportunity here with, again, I expect the Cowboys to be throwing the ball over 40 times every single game.
How about you, Tex?
Yeah, I have CeeDee Lamb at 25, so I'm not really that down. I'm not necessarily down on him. Oddly enough, he ranks 8th in the NFL in targets. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's certainly getting a look. I just, I think that Dallas is going to be a little more conservative with this game. They're going to try to control the clock. They're going to try to just not be embarrassed in front of Washington. So I don't think the targets are really going to be there. Let's go to quarterback. Again, ECR for me is really good this week. It's like very, very solid. So let's start with you, Yates. Anybody who you're fading within the top 12?
Not really. I mean, Drew Brees, I'm fading him a ton, all the way from 12 to 13. So
that's me too. Yeah,
there's really not anyone that I was like, this is an obvious sit.
Legitimately, my guy was Drew Brees, who's 12, and I'm fading to 13 as well. So that's my guy too. Again, it's right now ECR to me looks pretty on point. How about you, Tex?
Yep, it was Brees or Brady, and they're both like just right there at 13 and 14. So it's not like I'm going out on a limb here. Brady, you have to worry about the goal line work because the Raiders have just been terrible. It's slowing down the run. You have Ronald Jones playing lights out right now. That defense is playing fantastic. You worry about the pass attempts, and then Brees. He hasn't been very good, first off, and the Panthers are actually allowing the fewest yards per attempt in the league.
Which I do not understand in any way, shape, or form, but good for
nuts.
them.
Yeah.
That could be something with Michael Thomas as well, which would only further dampen Brees' outlook. Again, I talked about it. I have no problem with Brady. I completely understand that the Raiders cannot stop the run, and their defense is great. I still think that Brady, it's a primetime game, right? It's Sunday night game. I think that he's going to get his. Let's go to tight end. We're all fading Evan Engram, right? I mean, that's basically the guy. Anybody else that you're fading here tags within the top 12?
Well, I won't even say I have him at 11, so I'm not crazy low on him. The one guy that I'm a lot lower on is Jimmy Graham. I don't know how he's top 10.
Yep.
No idea. I have him at 19. So basically, Jimmy Graham is touchdown or bust. And knowing that Nick Foles throws one touchdown a game, do you really want to bank on that?
Yeah, I have him. I'm fading him as well. Only 14. Again, all your tight ends suck. That's where we are. I mean, it really is. How about you, Yates? What do you think about Jimmy Graham?
I've got him at 8, so I'll buy him. 28 targets over the last 4 games. I mean, yes, he always has the opportunity to come down with a touchdown, and that's what boosts him up to, a top 10 finish. And I'm projecting him to find the end zone in this one. But yet, again, it's the tight end landscape. It's super gross, so I don't feel great about having Jimmy Graham at 8, but yet he's seeing targets, and he's got the opportunity to find the end zone, so I'll bet on him.
All right, let's do who should I start, Jimmy Graham or Rob Gronkowski?
Gronk.
Jimmy Graham or Jared Cook?
Graham.
Cook slightly.
And you have Graham, yes, you said, right?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know if I was supposed to be answering first.
All right, yes, let's give it. I don't know why Tags is jumping in since it's your guy. Jimmy Graham or last one.
That was my guy.
That's fine. Jimmy Graham or TJ. I admit no mistakes, Tags. You're first,
he
Tags.
Apologizes Jimmy Graham for nothing.
Yeah, I do. Exactly. Jimmy Graham or Tags. TJ Hawkinson.
Hawkinson, easy.
Yates.
Yeah, I've got Hawkinson at 4 this week.
Oh, boy. Okay, I have Jimmy Graham again, as I said, at 14, so I'm not looking to start him. Only other guy, Engram is the main guy I'm way lower on. I'm 15th right now. Then Jimmy Graham. Dalton Schultz, also, as you can tell, I do not like Cowboys right now. He's 8th in ECR. Where do you guys have him? I have him 16th in my first run.
That's exactly where I've got him.
How about you, Tex?
13 for me.
I don't understand 8th. That is an incorrect ranking, so I would fade him. Let's go deep sleepers here, guys. Let's start with you, Tags. Give me a running back outside the top 36 who you might be looking to start.
I mean, we talked about JaMychal Hasty a little bit, where I think there's a chance for him to be that guy. I mean, I'll go with Latavius Murray.
Yeah.
Latavius Murray is ranked 40th for whatever reason among running backs against Carolina, a team that's allowed 40 rushing touchdowns over the last 22 games. Yep. So yeah, Latavius Murray's the guy.
Yeah, he's actually tagged since we started to move down. 42nd overall. Where do you have him ranked, Tags?
I have him at 28.
Yeah.
Ahead of Joshua Kelly.
Ooh, okay. I'm behind Kelly, but not that much. I'm at 33. How about you, Yates? You've been like the foremost cheerleader for Latavius Murray all year.
Yeah, Latavius Murray is a clear answer here for a sleeper. I have no idea why he's down at 42. I have him at 23. Why are we talking about a guy who who is seeing significant carries in a dynamic offense up against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, and we're ranking him 42nd?
Yeah, this is I really would like to know. There's got to be a way we can look up like the player that Yates has been higher on than ECR every week, because Murray's got to be up there, because you're like, ECR, you're 20 spots too low on Latavius Murray every week, which I love. And again, if Michael Thomas is out, it's only going to further benefit Latavius Murray. How about wide receivers, Yates? Let's start with you, a wide receiver outside the top 50.
Demarcus Robinson. He is, where'd he go? He is 55th. He's 55 in ECR right now. I feel like that is a guy who you can plug in. Again, if Watkins is out, that's the main caveat here. But if Watkins is out, Demarcus Robinson led this team in receiving last week. Mecole Hardman barely involved in this offense, and so you're looking at an opportunity here in a nice matchup for Demarcus Robinson. I'll plug him into my lineup as a sleeper.
Yeah,
I like that call. How about you, Tags? What do you have for outside the top 50?
Russell Gage.
Okay. Where do you have him?
I have him at 44. With Julio back in the lineup, it changes everything in that offense. Really does. Because if you look when Julio is out, Russell Gage was terrible, Matt Ryan was terrible, Hayden Hurst was terrible. Then you see him come back, and all of a sudden everything comes back to life, Russell Gage included. And Detroit has really, really, really struggled to stop slot wide receivers.
All right, where do you have Gage, out of curiosity, Yates?
I have him at 58 right now, but that's too low. I want to move him up because I do like him this week.
Okay, let's very quickly look at some running backs and wide receivers that we'll probably all say, ugh, gross. But I want your opinion on, because we've talked about them already. A lot of the guys who are kind of in that maybe I want to start. So let's go with Tags. If you have to start one of these guys, it is either Adrian Peterson at Atlanta,
okay,
Damian Harris against San Francisco, or J.D. McKissic against Dallas.
I'll play Peterson. Hope that it's a high-scoring game and that he gets goal line work.
How about you, Yates?
It was AP, McKissic, and who else?
Damian
Harris.
AP for me as well.
Okay, good. I am in agreement as well. Let's go to wide receivers here. We'll pick a couple of guys outside the top 30 in wide receivers. Yates, Mike Williams against Jacksonville, Michael Gallup at Washington, or Laviska Shenault against the Chargers.
There's a right answer here, Yates. Pick it.
I'm going with Mike Williams.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that one's not that close to me. I'm surprised they're right there in ECR, because not really where I'm looking. We've talked a lot about tight ends, but let's just talk about very quickly, if you're struggling, and a lot of the guys that we've talked about are already rostered. Tags, Hayden Hurst against Detroit. Mm-hmm. Darren Fells, assuming that Akins is out, against Green Bay, or Tyler Higbee against Chicago.
I'd play Hurst.
Yeah.
It's a small sample size against Detroit. They've been good against tight ends, but it's a very, very small sample size.
How about you, Yates?
Yeah, it's Hurst for me. Higbee's not even in the consideration there. Fells is at 18 in my rankings right now. Higbee at 20, and I still feel like that's too high. And then Hayden Hurst at 11.
Okay, let's finish up here with quarterback. Yates, Gardner Minshew against the Chargers, Joe Burrow against Cleveland, Teddy Bridgewater against New Orleans, or I'll throw in one more, Carson Wentz against the Giants.
Wentz is probably going to finish the highest here, but I'm not going to say, start him. Minshew for me, I've got Minshew at 15, Burrow at 17, Bridgewater at 18, and Wentz at 19.
Yeah, we are right there. How about you, Tags? Do you need the names again?
I don't know. No, I got them. I almost want to say Burrow, but my rankings say Minshew. Do you guys know Minshew's quarterback finish, his fantasy finishes through 6 games were 11, 12, 30, 13, 13, and 12. He's finished in between 11 and 13 in 5 of 6 games.
I remember your incredible, absolutely remarkable piece that I loved, your boom bust and everything in between in the preseason, which I read several times. And the big thing about Minshew was how consistently he was able to put up at least a borderline wide receiver 1 performance. And the same thing this time. And it was really disappointing that the one game that he didn't was against
Prime
Miami,
time.
where everybody was like so excited to
Right.
watch, right, on Thursday Night Football, and he was terrible. Again, he does need DJ Chark. I get worried when DJ Chark's not in there because I do think he helps him. All right, so why don't we get to everybody's start of the week and sit of the week? Any position you want. Tag, start us with your start of the week.
Start Matthew Stafford.
Ooh, that is his guy. Yates, who's your start of the week?
I will go with Keelan Cole. Stay on brand.
All right, and I'll go with Jerick McKinnon. I will also stay on brand. That's my dude all day,
That's my
every day.
dude.
That's my dude all day, every day until I change on Saturday night. I read some more stuff about it and I get deep into it. And he's like, Jerick McKinnon is a sit. That's why you got to tune into Instagram Live 10 to 11 on the FantasyPros account. Tags, who's your sit of the week?
Darius Slayton. Don't like
Okay.
him.
So, I mean, is it about the matchup with Darius Slay? Is that
Yeah,
what
there's a lot of things I don't like. I don't like Daniel Jones. I don't like that he's hobbled off of it seems like he's got like a foot or an ankle injury. He seemed to re-injure it on his 23-yard touchdown catch last week. He still played 40 of 48 snaps. And then going against the Eagles, they've allowed just 10.7 yards per reception in their coverage. They've yet to Darius Slay is probably going to cover him. So I'm not excited about starting Darius Slayton this week.
All right, how about you, Yates?
Michael Gallup at wide receiver 35 in ECR. Sit him.
Yeah. He's a guy in particular, if you really want to read into it. I mean, he needs time.
Yep.
He needs time to get downfield to really produce, and it is not there right now with that offensive line. I'll take the easy way out, and I'll go Evan Engram so that on Thursday night, if he does go off, I can get the hate out of the way early, instead of waiting for the Monday.
I think you'll be fine.
No, you never want to go against Evan Engram, as we've learned forever. Okay, let's get into very quickly the Thursday night game between the Eagles and the Giants. We have talked about it. We know Alshon Jeffrey, as we talked about, is already declared out. Deshaun Jackson is going to play, but as I said, from everything I've seen, he's going to be on a little bit of a snap count. I guess I'll ask you this. I mean, it's probably Boston Scott, Tags, even though I think you weren't, well, you are excited about him. Yates and I are a little less so, but is there a must-start option for you in this game other than Boston Scott?
Trying to think about it. No, there's really not. Not a must start, no.
Yeah. You'd start, if you're starting a running back, because we talked about Scott already, you are starting Scott over Devonta Freeman, right?
I would, yes. And Fulgham is a guy that I do think that is startable. The matchup is pretty tough against James Bradbury, who I'm guessing that they're going to shadow with. I don't know, but I have Fulgham at 30 right now, which is weird. I have him 2 spots higher than ECR, which is something I never expected.
Yeah, well, you should, because he's good. Yates, who are you starting, Boston Scott or Devonta Freeman? Sorry if I asked you that
No,
earlier.
I don't think you did. I'm starting Devonta Freeman.
You are? Okay, interesting.
Over Boston Scott?
Yes.
In half PPR formats we're talking about,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so I'll be the tiebreaker. I do have Scott ahead of Devonta Freeman. Yay! But only by 2 spots.
For context here, too, Freeman at 19, Scott at 21.
Yates, hey, just admit you were wrong. It's okay.
No.
No. That is not a you're incorrect or you're correct. Definitely not, given how close they are. How about Fulgham, Yates? Are you starting him as a wide receiver 3 this week?
Yeah, as a wide receiver 3.
Okay. Yeah. So am I. Anybody want to start Deshaun Jackson in his first game back?
Nope.
Not if I can help it.
Tags, you said you're fading Darius Slayton. Where do you actually have him ranked?
I have him 36th. His ECR is 28.
Okay. How about you, Yates, with Slayton?
I have him at 28, but I don't feel good about that. I'd probably play Keelan Cole over Darius Slayton.
Okay. I don't think I would do that. But I feel very uncomfortable about Darius Slayton. I agree with you. Is Sterling Shepard? I have not seen the latest news. Is there any chance Sterling Shepard is going to be active for this game?
I actually don't know, but even if he is active, I'm not playing him.
Okay.
Not in this offense.
And yeah, no, that's fine. I just wondered whether or not it would even take away from Slayton if he does play. And of course, Evan Engram, who we all should be fading. I assume Dallas Goedert is not even, I don't even know if he's activated yet.
No, I don't think he's going.
So he's not going to play. Any deep appeal for Richard Rodgers? No?
And I mean, if you play in like a 2 tight end league, yeah.
Or if you are absolutely desperate.
Yeah, or like the Scott Fishbowl, where you get tight end premium. Go for it.
Yates, I love that you brought up James O'Shaughnessy earlier, because if Tyler Eifert is out, which I expect him to be, I'm guessing O'Shaughnessy sees like 5 or 6 targets.
It's possible.
Where will you have O'Shaughnessy? Let's go, James O'Shaughnessy.
Top
where
12 tight end.
No, I'm not going that high, but I put him, I think, at like 19 or something like that.
Okay, I don't think that's crazy. By the way, I mean I have right now I have Eifert playing in my projections, so that takes away from both of them. But yeah, I think a borderline top 20 guy, absolutely. This whole show has now become about James O'Shaughnessy. I love it. Meanwhile, very quickly, DSTs. I mean, I believe that the Eagles are my number 3 DST on the week. Are you guys starting them? Yeah, he's my number 3. Are you starting them? No questions asked?
Yeah, completely.
How about you, Tags?
Who?
The Eagles DST,
Listen.
man.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry, I was tuning out.
right.
Yes, you were starting the Eagles defense. Honestly, you could probably start both defenses. But
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I have the Giants 10th right now in my defensive ranking, so I don't know about you guys.
But I would still start the Eagles over them, though.
Yeah, for sure. Top 3 defense. All right, that's it. I enjoy talking to you guys. It's fun, it's easy, and everybody makes fun of me, which is basically how my life goes. Remember, use our Start Sit
Stop
Assistant.
feeling sorry for yourself.
I'm not at all. Start Sit Assistant over at fantasypros.com/myplaybook. Remember, we do Start Sit throughout the week. Yates has his live stream on Thursday. We do it on Sunday mornings on our YouTube channel. I do mine on Instagram Live. Make sure to tune in. We will be back tomorrow doing our DFS show, and then on Friday, we will break down the Thursday night game and even more Start Sit stuff. We will talk to you then.
Thanks for tuning into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Make sure to check out our featured videos as well. Also, make sure to click that red subscribe button to get notified when we post videos in the future.